I'm 94 years old, and I still do things that I'm not supposed to do, like smoke a pipe for 70 years. I've drink a couple of shots of vodka every night before dinner, and my doctor said, don't quit. Good doctor. We had demolition derbies not every night, but occasionally we would schedule a demolition derby, and we always got a lot of competitors for the demolition because the fellas love to get out there and get in a car and deliberately smash one another.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was always a great attraction for the fans, because who else? What would you rather do than watch cars smash together?
Yeah. Oh boy.
I mean, if you heard a crash out in front, what do? First thing you do is run out and see what happened. But those demolition derbies were something else. As a matter of fact, we had a driver back at Raceway that used to run in the team races, which was almost a demolition race. And Tom Anthony, at the end of the race, there was 3 drivers on each team, and it was a short race, 6 laps. And after the race was over, Anthony would deliberately flip his car.
Yeah?
He would run down into the first turn, and he knew exactly how to do it, and he could turn over 2 or 3 times, and he'd do it every night when we had a demolition race.
I don't know if I ever saw that. Yeah? Boy.
You know, Dave Weltmeyer is still in the racing business. He owns a car now, and his son is driving it at Ileana. But Dave figures he's too old to drive.
He's too fat to drive.
Yeah, I remember they had a junkyard in Harvey too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Norm Weltmeyer was one of the original drivers at Raceway when they started stock cars in 1948 and 49.
Yeah.
Their father, Norm Weltmeyer.
Who was the other guy you mentioned? Was Van Hatten?
Who's that?
Did you
No,
mention Van Hatten or something like that?
Van Allen.
Oh, Van Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Bill Van Allen.
Bill Van Allen. That's my phone.
He was he was champion at Raceway, and he was also champion at Santa Fe Speedway.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Only one speedway has a track of clay. You ain't seen nothing till you've been to Santa Fe.
I went there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Where was that?
Out near, it was out western suburbs out there.
Yeah.
Willow Springs or somewhere.
Willow Springs, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
It's
just
around
off of Route 83.
87th Street and Route 83 out around there.
So I announced the first race in June of 1947 at Hanson Park on the northwest side of Chicago, midget races. And Pete Jenin and Nick Jenin were in the grandstand that night as spectators because they didn't know if the UARA was going to make it.
Yeah.
And Bud Kaler, as a matter of fact, was with them. And after the races were over, they came down and asked me if I would like to be the announcer at Raceway Park.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you have an announcer. And they said, not anymore.
They wanted you.
And then Art Foles, promoter at Soldier Field, the midget races, he called me 2 weeks later and asked me if I'd like to announce at Soldier Field. All of a sudden, I had all the jobs in Chicago.
Boy, oh boy.
Racing jobs.
Yeah.
It was quite an honor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was in Blue Island and played a round of golf this summer. One of the guys in the foursome was a descendant of the Jennings, because he said, I think it was his uncle or something that used to own Raceway Park. And that's what got me to thinking, we got to talk to Wayne, because I see you over at the Dalton lunches every now and then. But
Well,
you sure provided a lot of good memories for a lot of kids that grew up in that neighborhood.
Well, I get people constantly talking to me about Raceway Park and people today, of course, with the track being gone for 20 years
Yeah.
or 12, let's see, they were down in 2000. Uh, they never had a chance to experience Raceway Park, but all the people that did have never forgotten it.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's something about that short track that was just special.
My grandson, I
Most exciting racing you could ever see was right there.
Yeah, yeah.
We used to have over 100 cars a night.
That is something, yeah. Where I lived on 112th and Green, there were three, if I couldn't get out to the track because I wasn't out there all the time, but there were three distinct sounds that you could hear from my house. One was you could hear on a real quiet night, you could hear the Illinois Central Electric, that winding up there. And the other one were the hammer shops at 119th Street.
Mm-hmm.
The Am Forge, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And then my favorite one of all was the sound of Raceway Park a few miles away, hearing those cars whining out.
Depending on which way the wind blew, you
Yeah.
could hear it for
Right.
miles.
Yeah, yeah.
It was noisy, and we had a few complaints from the neighbors about the noise,
Yeah,
but they didn't stop it.
yeah. No. So did you ever see any fist fights in the pits there?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
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 That's one thing that auto racing is a very competitive sport,
Right.
and the fellas can get mad at one another.
Yeah.
I mean, if you run into me and smash my car up, I'm mad at you, so
Yeah.
we go in the pits, we fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of fights, yes.
Yeah. And who did the flags? The guy down there.
Well, Tom Plozak was our early starter, and he was probably the favorite at Raceway for a long, long time.
Uh-huh.
And when he retired and quit, Smokey Smith was the starter.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, those guys are long gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
long gone.
And the scorer would be up in the booth with you up there.
Yes, as a matter of fact, our son was the scorer.
Oh.
Wayne Adams Jr., he was scorer,
Yeah.
and our other son, Craig Adams, was the timer.
Oh boy.
So we had a family
Yeah.
congregation in the judges' stand.
What about Grace? Did she come out there all the time with you?
Grace, my wife, she was managed the concessions one year,
Underneath
a
the
couple of
stands.
years.
Yeah.
And as concession manager, she was having a lot of fun.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's for sure. Well, Wayne, thank you very much, and this has been a delight to talk old times with you. And
Well, thank you so much for asking me.
you sure.
It's fun to talk about those times, and that I spent 53 years in racing, and I've been out of it now for 23 years. So
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be able to see some of your mementos there and trophies and plaques and everything. So we appreciate you opening up the house to us and talking with us for a spell.
thank you so much.
Let me see, April, that's the way I remember her. She was so beautiful. She was like a live Barbie doll. And she could dance.
This is young Wayne.
Hey, Phil, here's another one here with